You can meet women anywhere, and there's going to be wide differences in the way women look, the way the women act, all this. But the culture, right? That culture, that inner core, I think is still the same.
One of the things is that no one understands is, as an American man, you start off with a really good reputation. Many of the women who come to these events have a sister or an aunt or a cousin or a best friend who met a wonderful guy and now they're living in Santa Monica or something.
Right.
And they know. I've had numerous women tell me that over the years, that like, well, American guys are great, Canadian guys are great, I'd like to meet. A lot of these women, one of the weirdest things is the guys always think they're never going to meet anyone. The women are certain. I've seen women who were incredibly gorgeous who didn't believe they were ever going to meet a guy.
Right.
And so, so all I can say is I would encourage you to take the risk and do it. Their tours, I mean, John, y'all's tours, they very rarely does anyone ever complain, including the guys who take 7 and 8 tours. Y'all have a lot of repeat business where guys are happy. They're so happy. Normally, you would think, I'm paying this money and I didn't find the woman and I'm going to be mad at John Adams. Mostly, the vast majority that I've met, they're not mad at John Adams. They're like, where can I sign up for the next tour?
I know.
You get a lot of that.
The biggest complaint I ever had, the best complaint I ever had on the tour was the guy who said, John, my biggest complaint about this tour is that it worked and I can't do it again. Right? I mean, it's cool. So.
Yeah.
You can meet women anywhere, and there's going to be wide differences in the way women look, the way the women act, all this. But the culture, right? That culture, that inner core, I think is still the same. They've grown up differently. Usually they've grown up in multi-generational households where you have the grandmother and the mother, right, and the kids and the grandkids all living together, and you have these multiple adult figures helping to raise the family. They don't have a ton of money. The government doesn't give them all this food stamps and this and that and this, so they rely on friends. They rely on family, which is why family values are so important to many of these women. So I look at the video, I look at the women at this social, and for most guys would probably wander into that social and be pretty happy, I think. And they were, to a man. Every guy that went over was really, really happy that he went, and told me that he was shocked at the beauty and the elegance and the intelligence and the way that the women carried themselves, and the femininity of the women was amazing. Now, sure, you can encounter, types of women that are going to be somewhat different than that, and you are, obviously, Sean. I'm not saying that you haven't, but that's one of the reasons that we do what we do. That's one of the reasons why men come to us, is because we try to find the women that tell us that they really have those values and that they want to meet these men, and that's what we do. So that's why, and I don't know if you're using us while you're there. It doesn't sound like you are. But if you would like, we're more than happy to help you if we can.
The women who are coming to use AFA, they're pre-selecting for finding a man for marriage. That is how AFA advertises itself.
Absolutely.
That's who y'all are. That's your core goal. AFA has got to be the only international matchmaker with multiple mentions in multiple dissertations, because they've been, many of these companies will not open themselves to research. Many of the big dating apps, man, that's the last thing they want to hear, is that, that they've got some PhD researcher down in the lobby waiting to meet a vice president. Okay, they don't want to go there. They want to try to avoid it. But from the very beginning, Simmons, who was really the first to get out there in her dissertation, she spoke to you directly. You met her, and she said, eventually John agreed that to let her come, to give her full access. And his only thing was, and this is a quote from page 99 of her dissertation, he wanted to make sure that she revealed whatever findings emerged, that she was honest about the findings. And Julia Mazzaros, who now teaches at Texas A&M, she said very, very similar things about 15 years after Simmons. And so, AFA has been very open. It's one of the reasons that I ended up meeting AFA and everything, because they were so open, and then the names started popping up in the research and in those sorts of places, and so it really mattered. And I think of the kind of other research that guys want to know about is the research on why the women do this. A lot of guys are real curious about that, and as a matter of fact, some of the academics have been curious about that question, and for the most part, the women say they're doing this because they want to find love. And a lot of times they're very disappointed with men in their home countries, and they've, like I said, heard that American men have a great reputation. And so, so they decide to be brave, which, like I said, I think a lot of the guys don't understand how brave you have to be to decide, I'm going to date a guy who may want to move to another country where they don't speak my language, and I'm going to, on some level, have to start over with my education, speaking a new language and all this. And it takes guts, and it takes some desire to do that. But largely, these turn out to be love matches. That's what the research shows. It's a lot of the preconceived notions that men have about it are wrong. If you have questions about the core honesty and efficiency of international dating or AFA, as surprising as that might sound to some people, there's research on it.
You too can experience the romantic adventure of a lifetime. Join men from all over the world as they take a trip and find their future brides.
Check out our website at costa-rica-women.com.